All right, first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna get some rubbing alcohol or some kind of cleaner. Make sure that the area is all prepped and cleaned. I already put some on this paper towel. Give it a nice wipe down, and then let that completely evaporate off of there. What that does, make sure there's no oils or dirt or anything on the surface. And then we're gonna lay out where we're gonna place our light. All right, so for figuring out where you want to put the front hole, some kayaks have a really sharp nose, and if you installed this light too far forward, this light will interfere with the light coming in from the other side. So you need at least a good 2 inches of space between this side and where you put the other light. This kayak here has a very round nose, so I can really mount it pretty far forward, but you also don't want to mount that front one on any kind of curve. So on my kayak it starts getting flat right about here, so I will come back right about this area, and then I will measure off of some kind of reference point so I can match it to the other side. So probably just find the very tip, measure back like 5 or 6 inches, and then that's where I'll put my hole, and that way I can match it on the other side. The drill bit that you need to install the big LED strip lights is a 1/2 inch. Anytime I drill a larger hole with one of these bits that doesn't have like a brad tip on it, I like to drill a little pilot hole first. So I have a 1/8 inch drill bit, and I'll just poke a hole with that, and then that way when I use the 1/2 inch it won't walk out, it'll just find that hole and it'll drill. Just an extra step that's, I think, is worth it. I've had bigger drill bits not bite right away and walk and scratch it up, so we'll just do it this way. There. All right, now I'll remove the tape, and then we'll screw in the wire. All right, now we're ready to feed the wire into the hole. It comes with a grommet on the wire already, so you want to make sure that that's on there, because you don't want to have to pull your wire all the way back out to go find one. But it sits on there like that. So feed all the wire in there. There's a lot of it. They're generous with the length. All right, and then it also comes with the Allen wrench that you need to tighten this all up, so that's pretty nice of them. Not the drill bit though. The button lights came with the drill bit, but the bigger light didn't, or these bigger lights don't come with the drill bit for these. Gotta make sure it's flat with the thing before it starts threading itself. It looks pretty good, because once it starts, it's not going to like correct itself. It's just going to go in whatever angle you started it at. This is also twisting up the wire on the inside, so when you're all done and got this seated, just make sure you kind of take that twist out of the wire. It might help you out a little bit down the road. Nice and snug, not too snug, because it's just plastic you're screwing into, so if you really crank down on it, it'll just rip out the threads off the plastic. So, all right, I went ahead and I wiped it back down with some alcohol just to get any kind of fingerprints that I might have got on there while I was putting the tape and drilling the hole. This connector goes inside that hole. There's a little lip on the outside of this that's got to fit around that, and it's got to be all the way on there or I won't get connection. And it's not easy, but it's not too difficult. So you want to get that in there. Get started. There, I felt it just snap right over, so that was good. Sometimes it's not that easy. And now I'm going to take the backing off of the tape. Might want to start that before you put it up here, because it can sometimes be a real pain in the butt to get it off. get it started. And then I'm just going to follow my tape line down 1/4 inch down all the way. And just stick it down. Take your time, make sure it's nice. You don't want to wavy install. There it is. And then it's going to be stuck down forever now, hopefully. Alright, I'm going to put the little safety screw in. First I'll put a little dab of adhesive in the hole just to make sure everything's nice and watertight. And then it doesn't need a hole drilled or anything, you just screw it in. There. Once again, don't go so tight with something like that because the threads are super tiny and it's just plastic. So you just need to, just till it touches and then you're done. Don't crank down on it. And be very careful if you're using a drill. All right, well I got both front lights installed on the boat. Now I need to run the wires. I just went ahead and taped the wires together just to keep them together because I don't know if I'm going to eventually put more wires down or more accessories or whatever. So I don't want a bunch of loose wires rattling around in the boat. I mean, they'll still be rattling around, but at least they'll be together. So what I did is I stretched the wires out because I'm going to put the control panel back here in the hatch that's under the seat. Then my battery will be up here. But so I'm going to try and run the wire all the way down the side. So I just went ahead and stretched it out, found out how much of it I had to tape together, and then taped about every 6 inches just so it's solid. I'm thinking I might be able to get this down with my arms, but maybe not. I might need to run a snake and pick it up with a hook or something. So we'll go ahead and give it a shot here. With these Old Towns, they have the, or any pedal kayak, it's got a big pod space through the center, so you have to go down one of the edges. I'm trying to push the wire. And I think it made it. I think it went down all by itself. Yep. Just like that, it was easy. 10-foot kayaks are pretty nice for running wire, so there you go. Now the wires run back there. Another thing you guys can do is label your wires. It's not very important right now because both of these go into a splitter and then they go into the same port. But maybe eventually you might want to reconfigure something and you're like, which one was that wire? Or maybe one of them goes bad. Who knows? But just label your wires. It's super easy. All right. Now on to the back. All right. Well, I guess I ran into a little problem when I spun the boat around to put the light on the back. I wasn't going to show you guys the install of putting it on the back because it's exactly the same process putting it on the front. You just measure down 1 inch, run your tape line, drill your hole and then install it. But on Old Town Topwater, they have this little indented area, and inside of that, the serial number is melted into the plastic. So it's really rough. So normally that's exactly where the light would go. That's exactly 1 inch down is across that. So I don't want to take a chance of putting it right over top of that and the adhesive not sticking. It also covers up the serial number. I don't know if that matters. There's the serial numbers burned on the inside of the front hatch also, so I don't really know why it's on here twice or why they needed this much on the outside of the kayak. Whatever. So I'm going to attempt to put the light right across that bottom edge. I looked at a ton of pictures to make sure that that isn't too low, like in the water too much of the time. And the actual instructions tell you to find the water line and go up only 1 inch, and that's where you're supposed to put the light. So I think I'm safe. I looked at, like I said, a ton of pictures. There was a couple guys that were actually kind of loaded down, and I thought, that's a good representation of, I take a lot of stuff out sometimes. And it was still above the water line. So I think we're going to be safe. I'm going to go ahead and install it right down on that line and then do the same on the other side. And then that'll be the back light. Alright, so these are the front two wires. I know that because I labeled them. What I'm going to do is put it into the Y. I'm going to go ahead and add some electrical tape to that connection. Just cut off like 6 inches of it. Stick it right over where that seam is, that joint, and just wrap it real tight. Just kind of work your way down. I don't know if it's totally necessary. Probably not. I mean, there's a nice little gasket in there, but it doesn't hurt. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. And then do the same thing on the other one. There we go. Now I'm just going to bundle up all of this excess wire. Like that. I'm going to leave myself a good little tag end on it though, so I have plenty to work with. And then zip tie it together so it's nice and contained. Now I have the front and the back all situated, ready to install onto the panel. Alright guys, I think I've decided on this spot right here to mount the red LED button light. I kind of wanted to put it up here, but with the drive unit, the pedal drive unit comes right through here. There's a storage hat that flips up, so if I put it too far forward, I'm not really getting light across, and also I would be able to see that light from where I'm sitting. So the farther back I move it, it will be kind of under my knees because my knees are right about here. So I shouldn't have like a really good direct sight of the light itself, but I'll be able to see the light it's casting. I didn't want to put it under the seat because I used under the seat for storage. I throw a lot of stuff under there. And I don't want to block out the light or not be able to use storage because space on a kayak is at a premium, so any kind of storage spot is very valuable. So right here, these are only about 3/4 of an inch wide, so I went down an inch and over a 1/2 inch, and I should have plenty of flat surface to mount this to get a nice seal. There's a little rubber grommet gasket thing on there that gives it a nice seal. So I will go ahead and install these and show you guys how it looks. And the button lights actually came with a drill bit that's the right size, so that's pretty nice of them. Nice and easy. Ooh, there's a sharp bit too. Very nice. Now I will feed the button light in and cinch it down with a socket. And on here, I'm not going to need this backing nut, so I'm just going to take that off. So then you just take the little 3.5mm plug in and stick it right through. Fits through nice. And then you just stick that in there and start threading it. Start turning it in, it'll thread itself and make a nice tight seal. 16mm socket. And just screw it in. Not too tight, so you gotta be very careful. Alright, that looks good to me. Now I'll do the other side. I can't reach them, so I'm going to just grab a little coat hanger with a hook on the end and see if I can't get up there and get a hold of it somewhere in there. Oh, look at that, first try. Now I'm going to find the little Y connectors. Put them together. I don't know what I did with it. Around here somewhere. Oh, right in front of my face. Plug these in. I'm going to tape this joint up with some electrical tape also, and then we'll be ready to hook everything up to my controller, which I have mounted in here, and I'll show you how I did that. Alright, for mounting in this kayak, there's two big foam blocks in here for support for the seat. So what I did was I just cut a piece of cutting board. This is a cheap $10 cutting board from Walmart. It's about 3/8 of an inch thick. I cut it at 17¼ inches long, and then just wide enough to fit the control unit. And this way, when I feed it in there, I can feed it between the two foam blocks, and then press it down, and it's a nice snug fit. It's not connected to anything, but it won't move around. So I'll do that now. I have the power wire hooked up. This is nice too because all my wires are on the outside here. I don't have to fiddle with them down in the hatch. I can take it all out. There's plenty of slack in all the lines. So this is the stern, and I know these are the stern lights, the rear lights. So I'll hook these up. Okay. These are the front LED strips on the bow. So I'll put that on the bow line, the bow zone. These are clearly labeled. It says B and S for bow and stern, which corresponds with the controller. And these are the cockpit lights that I'm going to put on the mid zone. I'll put those on. I'm going to tape these up like I did the other connections, just to keep them extra watertight. And these coils of wire are actually kind of heavy, so moving this, loading it, moving it, loading it, I don't want them to work free because they're not secured under there that well. They're just going to be moving. Anyway, so it's just an extra little level of protection here. Another thing this board does is that I'm going to put a zip tie on all of these, and then they're going to be setting on the board, which is raised above the tunnels. So if there's ever any water that gets down in the bottom, this will be raised above it. So these little connections won't be sitting in water, even though they're waterproof or whatever. So we got our plugs in, we got all of our lights hooked up. So let's stick this down in the hatch. Like that. Fix it up, and then I'll just press it to fit between those foam blocks. It's not too hard. I don't want to damage the blocks, but it's enough to make it snug. And now that it's completely secure in there, it won't go anywhere. All right, there you can see it. Nice and snug down in there, and it's raised above the tunnel, so all water can go underneath. It won't be standing in any standing water. And keep those over here. I have to move my zip tie up. Bundle that together a little better. But there you have it. Now I just need to hook up a battery and test it. Alright, so this is the beauty of this wireless system, is that this control panel is completely wireless. It's just got two little batteries in there. And you can mount it wherever you want. You can wear it around your neck. It's also got a GoPro mount that it comes with. That has the little track adapter. So on the back you can see it's just a standard action camera. So any kind of accessory mount that you want, you can just attach the back of this. And then here I'll show you how it works. So first you got to turn it on. And then here's the backlights, which is stern on this one. Here we go. And then the bow. And then here's the cockpit lights. This also has a memory, so say all of my lights are on right now. I can just hold it down and shut it off. They all go off. And then if I turn it back on, it remembers what was on and turns everything back on. So if you wanted to, like, say that just have the bow light on and not the stern, so the stern is off, but you can see the cockpit light and the bow is on. So I shut this off. Shuts both of them off, and if I turn it back on, they both come back on, but the back didn't. So it just has a memory. It remembers what you had on, or you can just turn everything off individually. Or you can also use the app on your phone and do it the same way. So I'm pretty happy with it. I've had it out a few times, and so far so good. No leaks anywhere, no issues at all. So I'm pretty happy with it. Thanks for watching, everybody.